Well, good evening and welcome to the Select USA TV's newest show that we're going to put together right here on Spreaker, and that is the political rant and conversation, and we want you to weigh in. Thank you so much to all of you that have been following us, those of you that have been emailing us, following us on Twitter. We surely appreciate your support. Now, what we want to do with the political rant, which is set to air on more than one network, we want to galvanize a group of folks who want to discuss issues and move us all toward personal activism. And so today, unlike the Coach's Corner, things that I may say on this show or our guest may say on this show will not be in line with what many may believe. But the political rant is insured, its insurance is rather to have a common sense approach. And I had an idea. It's going to sound silly when I finally tell it to you, but I had an idea that we could make government smaller. And so let me share with you what I mean. I know the Republican Party has always talked about smaller government, and of course the Democratic Party has talked about government participation in community building, as well as individual and organizational help for issues relevant to healthy citizenship or healthy communities. Again, the Republican position, supported by the Tea Party, is for smaller government. But in Mitt Romney's previous statement about the 47%, though bluntly stated, blatantly true that the 47% and what that 47% represents has always been the Republican stance in this country, if not worse. I do know that when the second President George Bush was elected, prior to his election and prior to his run for the presidency, there was a push to allot him the wisdom, if you will, of the party to tap into the religious right, because not only did they have a serious part of the voting bloc, but they represented the other 53% in their minds. And but getting back to this, how to make government smaller, it's going to sound really stupid. For instance, if all of you listening to my voice now would take a position to make government smaller, there are a few things that we can do, because I guarantee you that the poor in this country, along with perhaps the lower middle class, are in for a rough ride. 4 years ago or so, the elections of the states, the elections in the states, governorships, Senate seats, whether they be state Senate seats or congressional Senate seats and congressional seats, with the Tea Party being on the scene, this thwarted more red cards, if you will, on the board for the Republican Party. And what many people don't know is that throughout the swing states and beyond, there's a lot of legislative power grabs, from redistricting to the the new voter ID laws and the reform and the participation by and in the unions, particularly in the Midwest, and reforms in the name of smaller government, reforms for supposedly for the people. But this simple idea I have that I want to share with you, like I said, it's gonna sound stupid, but let me take a break and then we'll be right back. Thanks for joining us for our newest show right here on Spreaker, on SIBN television and radio networks. We're talking about how to make the government smaller. So here's my idea. Number one, every time I arrive in my neighborhood, I live in a 100-acre lake community. I noticed that the police has staked out their spots to catch speeders, to read tags, to catch violators of any kind as it regards to motor vehicle operation. And if by chance, by luck, they may find someone with a warrant or two out, or someone with canceled insurance that they can pull them over and further investigate. Criminal prevention of criminal activity now is a money maker. You're going to get this in just a second, because the way to make government smaller as it regards to your neighborhood, drive the speed limit. Make sure your vehicle operator's license and insurance is up to par. Make sure that you obey the laws of the road. And if you do those three things, I know it sounds stupid and crazy, but if you do those three things, then perhaps we can put some aspects of government out of business. Because it seems to me that rather than serve and protect per se, that we now go on, since we have a budget shortfall in most municipalities, we have a budget shortfall, so now we're on a fishing expedition. Since we can't catch real criminals, and since we can't do anything about the system by which the real criminals that we do catch go through, and they're not able to yield beyond a certain quota that the prison or the jail would yield. There's a certain quota that is allotted per inmate, per prisoner, and that quota is calculated based on the statistics and the criminal patterns of each community. So since we have such a shortfall, since we need to make up thousands and hundreds of thousands and millions of dollars, if we can get everybody to freaking obey the dang on law, slow the heck down, pay your car insurance, make sure you're obeying the laws of the land. But I know that's not going to happen. I know it's not going to happen. But it's an idea of how to make government smaller. Here's another idea of how to make government smaller. Parents, stop trying to keep up with the Joneses. Stop trying to have all these material things to the degree that it distracts you or frustrates you or agitates you in the process of parenting your kids. Because when we don't take the time to govern other humans under our care, we only say to the government that eventually they'll be under your care. We can make government smaller as parents by pouring ourselves into our kids. And if you can't do that, then, admittedly, I must say to you that you may be prohibited because of personal issues that you had when you were a child. But I want to admit to you that being a good citizen and citizenship and Americanism should be built on personal development from childhood to adulthood. And if we're going to be adults here, if we're going to make government smaller, if we're going to reduce the lie about the 47% and how that you're dependent upon the government and you're a victim, if we're going to change that dynamic, we can start right in your home, my home, your driveway, my driveway. I don't think that people realize and understand and comprehend the power that they really have and the power of one. I got to go to commercial break. I'll be right back. This is the Political Rant and Conversation. Our opener is how to make government smaller. I'll be right back. Well, welcome back. This is the Political Rant and Conversation, and we're starting off our new show with how to make government smaller on a personal level. The Political Rant and Conversation is designed to bring common sense to politics, to Main Street. It's way out there right now. What are the steps that we could take as a citizen of the United States that would help us ensure that some of the jargon, the rhetoric within both parties can be realized on Main Street, and perhaps, I know it's a long shot, that we could impact our government with less contributions to the system that is set up on quotas, that is set up on criminal and psychological and economical patterns and poverty predictions and social economic factors and all of that. How could one person make a difference? I mean, we can stand around and we can argue the Republicans' platform seems to go too far. There was a time when the Republican platform was not as out to the left of the right. And I could say that because I voted Republican in the early days, and until Reagan came along, and from that point I began to vote Democratic. But later on I realized that, listen, I'd rather be an independent because of the sway of both parties, and so I'd rather take a personal activism position or personal activist type position. When I get in my car and buckle up my seatbelt and I drive the speed limit, and folks behind me are pissed, they're mad, and they go around me and they just shake their heads. But I rather drive the speed limit and make you mad at me if you are behind me, and make government in my community smaller and reduce auto accidents, auto violations, and on and on and on and on. And I know it's a long shot. I know somebody's like, hey, this guy's got to be kidding me. You got to be kidding me. But hey, this is a way we can make government smaller. And in fact, I would not speed because I don't want to make government larger than what it should be. I don't think that the government should make money off of crime. I just, that's just my position. After the government covers its expenses, I think the money should go back to the people. It's because it's the property taxes and the people that pay taxes that house every inmate, that house every prison. That pays for even public safety officers to be trained. I mean, a portion of that is allocated toward communal building to enhance the community. And today, criminal prevention has become a business in the sense of the word that this is how we're going to make money. And in this case, with the challenged economy, this is how we're going to make up the difference of a deficit running long. We're going to sit out on every corner at certain times of the day to see who we can snag doing fire. And then when you really need a police officer around because someone really is speeding in your neighborhood, you can't find one. It's just the opposite attract here. So I want to encourage you that this political rant, and political rant means I'm going to be going the hell off. I'm going off in a common sense way to instigate, aggregate change. And maybe if we just start with personal change, maybe that's where we could, maybe that's where we can begin to make a difference. Thank you so much for joining us. This is Marcus Select. You can follow me at facebook.com/SelectUSATV, on Twitter at SelectUSATV. By all means, we're also on YouTube as Select USA TV. And that's all the time I have for today. Be encouraged, and we want you to make government smaller. Obey the law. Make government smaller, because when you do not obey the law, they have set aside quotas that say, based on the statistics, that you will not obey the law, and they set their budgets based on those statistical patterns in various neighborhoods, urban and suburban now. It's not just the urban community. So let's make government smaller, and by all means keep more money in our pockets and become self-sufficient in every way possible. This is Marcus Select with SIBN Television and Radio Networks. This is a new show, The Political Rant, and I thank you for listening and joining me here today. We're going to probably try to do this maybe once a week. We'll get back to you on the news show to let you know a little bit more about it, but these things are pertinent. We'll have some more information about the political presidential election coming up as well. Whatever you do, be encouraged. See you on the Coach's Corner in the morning. Be blessed.